Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Feazell, and I'm your host of Afternoon Drive Home on IC Radio in the town of Geraldine, Alabama. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, from 1 to 3 p.m. Central, as I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. Now, coming up at 1 o'clock every day begins the show. It's a new show, kind of revitalized show. Kathy and I had this back in the year 2005, I think it was. And so I moved off and then she didn't want to carry on the show, so now we have reenacted the show The Edge with Donna and Kathy. So we'll be glad to see you guys every day at 1 o'clock, and then after that, afternoon drive home the rest of the day from 1:30 to about 2-ish like. So you can find us different ways. You can go to the website, and that's icradio.media. Another way you can find us is locally on television. That's Charter Communications Channel 182. You can also find us on Abundant TV. We're really glad to be in that lineup. And you can find us there on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Are you as big a techie as I am? I'm all into tech stuff. Every job I've ever had, except for this one right here, it involved being a techie. Well, this one does too. I had to kind of know stuff about computers in order to make this thing air and make it work. But I'm going to talk to you about 12 things you should never do online. Don't ever do these 12 things, okay? So make sure you listen really, really close. This is some great, great advice right here. We all make a lot of crazy, silly mistakes. I know I do. I make crazy mistakes all the time. We answer robocalls. Don't ever do that. I'm always getting those things. And those numbers do look like they're kind of familiar like, and they may even have your area code. You know, and you think, oh, it's probably one of my clients or something like that. And this is what you do. If there's like this little distance, there's a little bit of silence after you've said hello, and there's a little bit of a silence, it's going to be a robocall. Go ahead and hang up immediately. You don't even have to listen to the rest of it. And also, if somebody's going to call you and it's a recording, how serious can that be? You answer it, and then a few seconds, then they go, hello, thank you for answering the call, and it's a recording, and you know for good that it really is a recording. Hang up. Okay, so anyway, click links we should have those checked out first, and don't open up spam emails. Please don't do that, because if you do, you're going to get more than you bargained for. I promise. You'll start getting more spam emails when you open up just one. So be careful. Everyone is vulnerable and can be caught off guard. So that's what we do next. It really counts. So, do you believe the caller claiming to be an IRS employee use your credit card on a sketchy site or download files from a sender you don't recognize? Don't do that. If you do, the consequences can really be bad. And a little bit later on, if I get time, I want to tell you about this guy. He's a retired fire chief and Vietnam vet who was conned out of more than $100,000, all because he clicked a link he shouldn't have clicked. I don't want that happening to you. I know you work really, really hard, and so we're going to keep that money, okay? Use it for your savings. So that's why we have this list of 12 things that you should never, ever do online, along with do-it-yourself security tips as reminders, and just make sure that you're vigilant on everything that you click, okay? First of all, you might click something that slows down the computer. We don't want that to happen. We talked about that in a previous show. Okay, first, number one, don't give correct answers. Don't give correct answers when setting up security questions. That's how people can guess stuff. They'll get on your Facebook page and they'll say that you got maybe some grandkids that you just love. And maybe you put all those grandkids' names on security questions. Don't. As much as you love your grandkids, don't do that. Don't. If this has you scratching your head, it's like, well, why? We get it. Okay. But this simple trick helps you keep one step ahead of cyber criminals. They may think, a lot of people use their birthday. A lot of people use maybe their wedding anniversary date. Just don't. Give some off the wall something. Think about it this way. If somebody knows your personal details about you, they're going to be able to answer these questions in a snap. Maybe a jealous former friend wants to wreak havoc on your accounts. Maybe a creepy cyber stalker has studied you for a while. You never know in today's world. Or maybe a potential hacker randomly saw an opportunity to break into your accounts. Sadly, it's too easy for them to collect all your personal info, and they need to accurately answer those security questions. So again, wrong answers. This is the time. I know in school, the right answer. This is the time to put the wrong answer. Make sure you remember what it is. That's why this is why you can throw away potential invaders for a loop by picking incorrect answers for your security questions. You're taking away their ace in the hole by not giving them the answers that people will expect. It helps to think of cybersecurity as a chess game. So let's think about it that way. You must stay one step ahead of your opponent in order to win. Of course, you'll have to remember those answers. Okay, number 2. And again, this is a really good, I love this article right here. It's 12 things you should never do online. Okay, don't give correct answers when setting up security questions. We got that one. Okay, number 2, did an ad send you to a new site? Don't click any download buttons, whatever you do. Don't. And I'm going to talk about why. So an ad worked. While browsing, you saw an ad box with an intriguing item and clicked on it, and it takes you to a shiny new site with even more goodies that you can buy. Oh, and that site has ads too. When it comes to ads, the internet's like the movie Inception. There are dreams within dreams and ads within ads. While you're here, don't download anything from that site. Remember that anyone can put out ads. All you gotta do is a copy and a paste. Anybody can do that. And many sites won't properly investigate their partners. That means that you might be browsing in a safe site and see an intriguing ad. Now this happens on Facebook continuously. Click it, you might be taken to a new site filled with malware. And then guess what that's going to do? It's also going to slow down your computer. We've already talked about that. Generally, it's a good rule of thumb to avoid downloading when you can. On a related note, never download an ad. That's just inviting trouble. Most certainly is. Don't fall for fake posts. They're out there all the time. We've said this before, but it's worth repeating. If you get an email solicitation to participate in a survey or for a money-making opportunity, stay away from those. Something you didn't sign up for, the same goes for work-from-home gigs that seem just a little bit too good to be true. Open a browser window like your Chrome, Safari, Foxfire, whatever you use, and search for that company name and then add the word spam. Chances are if it's spam, someone else has reported it. And you'll get that info. Anything that sounds too good to be true is too good to be true. Always remember that. That's an old-fashioned idea, but it's true. If the email comes from what seems to be a real person, do a quick Google search or use one of these alternatives for the person's name plus the company name. If you have a LinkedIn account, go there and search for people. And that's another good thing. I love LinkedIn because somebody seems a little bit shady and they say that they work for the IRS or something. Check it out. You'll find it on LinkedIn if it's real or not. Smart way to confirm the person emailing you who works for the company they claim to. It'll be on LinkedIn. Check that the person posts regularly and is connected to others. These are other signs that the profile is real and not just a front. Yeah, back in the day, there were storefronts. I remember that happened a long time ago in Geraldine here. There was somebody acting like they were a storefront, and what they were doing is selling drugs in the back of the store. That can happen. This is your storefront front on the internet. Number 4, don't skip two-factor authentication. Use this two-factor authentication anytime a website or an app offers it. Yeah, it involves a couple of extra steps, but the purpose is to protect you. If someone tries to access your accounts from a device the website doesn't recognize. I'll tell you, the Social Security Administration is a hassle, but at least you know they're on top of it. Anyone who uses Facebook is already familiar with 2FA. Now, if you use work, public, friend, or family's computer or a new device to sign in, Facebook requires you to verify that it's really you by using the 2FA, and that's a two-factor authentication. This is a no-brainer for any financial account, and we recommend it for your email and any service that has your payment info also. Another thing, we've talked about this a couple times on the show, and that's when you may get something, maybe you deal with XYZ bank company, and you get an email and it looks exactly like the logo, and they tell you you've got to confirm some information by clicking a link. Don't do that. Never. I don't care how good it looks, don't do it. If you feel like there's a possibility it could be true, the best thing to do is not click on the link and just go to their website, the one that you trust, okay? All right, don't reuse passwords or password formulas. Like you'll never use a password like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or you'll never use anything like ABCD 1, 2, 3, 4. Or even I've known people who've used password as their password. A lot of sites won't even let you do that anyway. How do you remember them all if you don't use a password manager? You don't write them down, store them on a computer, or reuse them, do you? So how do you safely store passwords so you don't have to memorize them? We don't recommend you use the password formulas that are easy to hack, like your website, a birth date, or as a Google 1225, Adobe 1225, or Facebook 1225. That would be so easy to crack. So don't do that. Okay, and then also do-it-yourself advice. Let me mention this to you. Use a safe and secure password manager, and you can also find a free password generator that gives you crazy, impossible to hack or memorize passwords. And it'll be like a whole bunch of symbols and maybe a hashtag or something like that. Use some caps, lowercase letters, and just let it be weird. Like let's say you use Internet One, okay, for your password. Instead of capitalizing I for internet, capitalize T, and then leave it lowercase letters. Just do it variables like that. And it's going to make it really hard for a hacker to figure out, okay? So I'm just looking out for you, okay? All right, number 6, don't use public Wi-Fi. We're all guilty of doing that because it's convenient and it's handy, and you're thinking, well, that way I'm not using so much of my usage on my internet. But let's see why they say this. You know the saying, don't use public Wi-Fi is like saying don't go out in public. I get it. It's impossible, but you really should be careful about what you do in a public network. Save the banking for a trusted network and be extra careful about the sites you visit and the links you click. Your best bet, though, is to use a VPN. Now, if you use public Wi-Fi, practice safe surfing. A virtual private network, that's a VPN, we mentioned that a second ago, creates an encrypted connection through a secure server that allows you to browse the internet. I know at the hospital they've got that, a VPN. And so I know we had to take Mother to the hospital a couple of times. And so, I mean, you sit there and you wait, you don't know what's going on. So I was actually doing some business there, but I used their network, so everything was cool. Okay, they create again an encrypted connection so that you can browse. Now, businesses have been using VPN technology for years, and more private users are adapting to it. So you're really not sure how it works. I'm going to tell you I'm going to give you 6 questions about VPN if we get time on this. Okay? All right. Number 7, don't fight on social media. I said that like really slow, so I really want you to get this one. Don't fight on social media. Time and time again, research shows social media makes us depressed, angry, and isolated. Now, during the pandemic, we believed social media would bring us together, but we got sucked into scrolling through endless timelines, comments, and arguments. Who wants to hear arguments? No one does. Stay away from it. Plus, you might lose your car. There was a girl, almost did when her parents saw her complain about the car that they bought for her. Another thing you don't want to do is get on there and argue about your boss online. You know, bosses check your Facebook page. And guess what? Before you get hired for a job, everybody does it now. When you blow it out there for the whole world to see, yeah, prospective employers going to look at it too. Okay, now do it yourself advice. If you can't break up with Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or whatever channel monopolizes your time and incites the scraper in you, just use common sense. Don't post anything that you would want your grandmother to see or that would come back and haunt you when you look for a job later, or that some website could post as an example of what not to do online. That's something good to think about. Absolutely. Okay, don't post sensitive photos online. Speaking of not posting anything that could haunt you later, we're talking about things that may seem innocent, like photos of your kids or your grandkids. There's a whole conversation on the internet about whether or not parents should post photos of their kids online and share them publicly. In 20 years, will your children thank you for sharing their private lives with the world? One woman even sued her mother and won after she refused to take down photos of the grandchild. Not to mention, child predators set up fake social media profiles and troll pages looking for innocent victims. I got a question for you. At what age do you think it's okay for a kid to have a Facebook page? Just let me know. Comment on the section below, okay? At what age should a child have a Facebook page? My son is 43 and I might be thinking about him not having one. Do-it-yourself advice. Change your privacy settings on Facebook, Twitter, and Google so only your closest contacts can see your pictures. Because a lot of us, that's how you have family who lives out of state, may even live out of country. A lot of folks who are, working as missionaries, that's how they keep up with their family. Just set the private settings so only your close friends can see those pictures. Don't share full names or specific locations if you have kids at home. Share only with people you actually know. And you check with other parents before sharing photos of their kids. Wipe out any hidden data from photos, okay? Make sure you did that. Don't post vacation photos or updates while you're gone. All you're doing is opening up for criminals to come in and rob you. Okay, that's what people look for, those things. And so let's talk about that for a second. If you venture out for a road trip or even just a day away, think twice before you put it on social media. It's so tempting to share the moment updates and pictures while you're on vacation, but think of them as public announcements that say, I'm out of town. My house is empty. Go burglarize me. Wait until you get back home and then post your photos after that fact. Do-it-yourself advice. You've got a home alarm system, and I've got Simply Safe, by the way, and I love it. You can monitor your property and get alerts while you're away. I love it. It's so fun. Sometimes I'll be on a sales call and I'll be out in the car, maybe writing up a contract or something like that. And my Simply Safe will go off and it'll be feel like outside mowing the grass or something. I think it's pretty cool. These are less likely to break into homes that are protected by alarms, cameras, and motion sensors. Simply Safe is real easy to install. As a matter of fact, Phil's installed ours. You can always call a professional. And so it's a good deal that we can get for you. As a matter of fact, they're going to become one of our new sponsors pretty soon. And I'll keep you involved on that. Never diagnose yourself on WebMD or similar sites. You're not a doctor, okay? Let's say you have a persistent cough. When you've searched online, you've diagnosed yourself with pneumonia. You could think you've got TB, lung cancer, heart disease, acid reflux, and chronic bronchitis. After all, these conditions share similar symptoms, okay? And you have just freaked yourself out. You're just like, tell everybody to pray for you because you got cancer or something. Sites like WebMD, Clinic Mayo, and Cleveland Clinic are packed full of good, reliable information, but that doesn't mean they should replace your doctors, okay? It's even more dangerous to use YouTube to look for medical information. You have so many people pretending to be stuff that they're not. So just use your own doctor. Just like how, don't listen to anything when it comes to politics, your health, or anything like that. Just, and don't listen to the news, whatever you do. Okay, leave your diagnosis to medical professionals and use those medical reference sites to learn more about what your doctors tell you. And always consult with your doctor before beginning any treatment or consider setting up a virtual appointment. You can always do that as well. Don't drunk shop online. What does that mean? Okay, let's say you've done something you shouldn't have done, but you've had a glass of wine or two. Apparently, drunk shopping is a billion-dollar industry on Amazon. A 2019 survey showed 79% of alcohol consumers made at least one drunk purchase. Clothing and shoes are the most common drunk purchase. So just don't do it, okay? Set up spending alerts with your bank. That's what we do. And we've got some folks trying to get in on our bank account that way too. Most banks will allow you to set a dollar amount. If you go over that dollar amount, you'll get a text message or email. That way you'll have time to cancel your orders and check your bonuses, check your messages. Now, as a bonus, if someone gets hold of your credit or bank card and makes purchases, you'll get alerts if they exceed your limit. And we've got that set up too. And also, we let our bank, that's what I love about Liberty Bank. They're a small bank, and you can just call them and get something done. But when we go anywhere out of state, we always call them and let them know we're out of state. Otherwise, can't use our debit card. And that way, we've got it set up to where if it is used out of state, that we get an email alert. So call your bank and make sure you get that alert. But now do remember to call them before you leave out of town and let them know that you are actually leaving for out of town. Don't take quizzes online, especially on Facebook. Please don't do that. I'm going to tell you why. If you're logged into a website and take one of those tempting quizzes like which friend's character is your soulmate, you already got a soulmate. You got a spouse at home. You don't need to know anything else. You're potentially handling over personal information about you, about yourself. And when you take these quizzes, you're helping websites create profiles about you so they can sell your information and target you with advertisements. Yes, that happens. And some quiz sites are downright sketchy. You never know who is watching, what type, or what could happen when you hit submit. Okay, so be really careful about those as well. Okay, let's see. Do I have time? Oh, yes, I do. Okay, so we talked about don't do quizzes. Don't do all these crazy things, okay? All right, now there was another article that I wanted to read to you, and let's see, about not fighting. Okay, let's see. Okay, this is advice, and we talked just a few minutes ago about fighting with people on Facebook. First of all, it's not worth it, okay? Not everybody's going to agree with you 110%. It's just not going to happen. I don't care who you are and how awesome you are. You're not going to have that. Folks are just not going to agree with you. Best thing to do is just step away from it and get away. All right, now I'm going to give you tips right here. Does a VPN slow down your connection? And we talked about that and how VPN works. And I don't have a whole lot of time, but I'm going to skip over some of this. Okay, let me go ahead and click right here and all these things. Okay, how does a VPN work? Now, this is a network that you can use, a virtual private network, which is safer to use when you're out in public. A virtual private network is a layer of protection between your devices and the internet. It hides your IP address and your location, and it encrypts your data. Think about some of the movies that you looked, like let's say the 1990s and the year 2000 when the internet first came out. Some of those movies that we watched have actually come true in the last few years, haven't they? It's where somebody takes your identity or somebody tracks you down. They can do it now. That's why you need to make sure you use a VPN network. A VPN protects you and your online traffic from snooping and interference from hackers. They're all out there. Governments and your internet service provider. VPNs keep your online activity private and allow access sites and services that could be restricted in some places. There's an important, remember this, trustworthy VPNs will never keep logs of your activity or connection. ExpressVPN doesn't, and that's a company that you can check out. And they say the same, and they also have some free options out there. Okay, now, are VPNs actually helpful, or is it more of a conspiracy nut thing? Yes, I've got a tin hat that I wear sometimes. You know, I'm very, very selective. And you need to be too. The book of Proverbs tells you that. You need to seek information. Don't just go plowing into something. That's how I've made my biggest mistakes, is not thinking about something. My granddad always said, both of them, both my granddads, they would say, before you make a big, big purchase, don't just jump into making that purchase. You need to sleep about it. Sleep on it overnight. And then make that decision whether to buy that big ticket item, okay? Oh, that's such great advice. It really is. Data collection comes in many forms, and sometimes you don't even know what's happening to you, like when it's, if it is the result of a hack. Sometimes it's all about capturing your data, like the tracking greedy advertisers and your internet service providers do, but that doesn't mean you've got to deal with it, okay? You have the right to privacy online, and a VPN can help you get your privacy back. Advertisers look at your location and online behavior to build a picture of you as a consumer. How many times have you searched for baking soda, and then all of a sudden you start getting all these ads coming on, you checking your email, you get on Facebook, all this kind of stuff, and you start seeing ads for baking soda. That's what they're doing. They're tracking your info. That's why the ads you see online hit so close to home. It's just really creepy, and there's a good reason to shut that down, okay? Now, your ISP is aware of anything that you do online. So when you access a website without a VPN, you're being connected to a site through your internet service provider. Now, the ISP, the internet service provider, like Phil and I used to be a long time ago, assigns you a unique IP address that can be used to identify you on the internet. Because your ISP is handling and directing all your traffic, it can see exactly which websites you visit. Using a VPN is an easy way to make sure you're not giving away that info. In short, a VPN is a great fit for anyone that's concerned with online privacy. But I'm just going to tell you, from being in this type of world, in this industry for a very long time, somebody right now sitting in the garage trying to figure that out. So you're going to be constantly looking for new ways. Does a VPN slow my internet down? Now, if you use the VPN in the past years, you may be thinking privacy sounds great. But VPNs make everything run too slow. And it used to be true. It really was back in the day. In some VPNs, it could be the case, but not with ExpressVPN. Now, are my Google searchers going to be in another language? Some people have these horror stories, okay, of signing up for a VPN only to discover all their usual sites loaded in another language. And that could be true. So that's something you want to check with when you're shopping your VPNs. Now, will a VPN help me from getting hacked? Staying anonymous online isn't just about hiding for advertisers or blocking your browsing history. It's the truly good ones protect your security online too. Okay, so again, that's another good thing to look at. Especially true if you often access public Wi-Fi networks. It's easier than you can imagine for a hacker to get on that same network and access your personal data. It seems all creepy, like, no, that's just Donna having a moment with her, full 10 cap or whatever. No, this is really true. This stuff is really happening. Okay, I think we got time for one more. Yes, we do. Does a VPN really do more than let you browse with nobody knowing what you're browsing about? Incognito. Okay, browsing incognito on Google Chrome, Foxfire, Edge, Safari, or your browser of choice simply means your browser will stop saving data locally. That's all it means. Oh, and another thing, sometimes you're going to go to a website and they'll ask you if you want to put where you're at on their site. No, never do that. Never, ever. It's too much for a hacker. They can't help themselves. They're going to start getting into your info. Sites you access won't appear in your history, and autocomplete won't be influenced by what you search for. Ultimately, these browser functions do nothing to protect you and your connection from prying eyes. A VPN is the only true way to keep your identity secure online while browsing incognito. Is best to keep your internet history private. So, take our word for it, okay? Try it for yourself. And just make sure that you don't let these hackers have your business. This is hard-earned money. God gives it to you, right? And so we are the keeper of what he gives us. And so it's up to us to be really smart about what we do. I've known so many people, I'm talking like within my family, who've actually given away a lot of money. Yes, by trusting somebody they have never met on the internet. I mean, they've met, it's the internet, for goodness sakes. You don't really know them. And I would be really careful too if you're going to dating sites. I know it's rough enough for you here locally, but I would be really careful about going to dating sites. I've heard some good success stories and that kind of thing too, but I've heard a lot of bad ones as well. Thank you for watching Afternoon Drive Home on IC Radio in the town of Geraldine, Alabama, your source for news and entertainment. You can also find us on television two different ways. You can find us on channel 182, which is on Charter Communications, and Abundant TV, which is found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. I think you're super awesome. And I think you're very super awesome for watching this show. And remember, The Edge with Donna and Kathy will be on at 1 o'clock every day. And that's Central Time, Monday through Friday.